Have you ever thought to yourself, man, I really wish there was a competition gun that gave me everything I needed right out of the box, not only to shoot fast and shoot precisely, but look cool at my local club match while doing so? This might just be the gun for you. Ho, 100 yards, first time, guys. Before we jump into this review, I would like to give you an offer, a trade deal, you might say. So you know YouTube is pretty tough on the gun content, gun community these days, so I would like your comment, positive or negative, your subscription to the channel, and a like on this video, and in exchange, I will provide you with yet another cringy gun meme. They just keep getting worse and worse as we go. Canik offers a lot of different guns in their lineup. They have concealed carry focused guns, they have competition and duty guns. This was their first dedicated competition gun that they came out with. They included some really cool things, features, and design of this gun that lends itself specifically to competition shooting. We're going to start off talking with some of the things they include in the box that lend to a good competition shooting gun, and we're going to start off by talking about the ergonomics. The first thing you're going to notice when we talk about the ergonomics of the gun is the grip, right? This is the first thing you're going to interface with when you pick up the gun. As you can see here, the texturing is really interesting. So we have this almost subdued type sandpaper grip. Now this is very popular among competition shooters to have like silicone carbide grips and things of the such, but it's really nice that right out of the factory, this gun comes with a great grip texture. It's gonna help you lock that support hand in when you're building your grip and you're firing longer strings of fire. Now what you're gonna notice here is the back strap has this kind of pyramid texture checkering here. I'm not exactly sure why they didn't wrap it all around the grip, but hey, it works perfectly fine. I did not feel this gun jumping or bouncing around in my hand when we were doing longer strings of fire. The only thing I would like to change about this grip texture is I wish it went a little bit higher here up on the gun. As you can see, I don't have super big hands, but even when I drive my support hand in and I'm starting to get a chunk of my thumb right up in here to really anchor my support hand to the gun, I really wish they added this grip texture a little bit higher up here and helped me lock that hand in just a little bit better. It also would have been really nice to have the grip texture come around and maybe have the pyramids on the back a little bit skinnier with a little bit added of the the sandpaper texture right here. Because when I'm locking around and I'm trying to drive these two thumbs together, I get a little bit of slip right there. But overall, I think they did an excellent job, and I think they're headed in the right direction with the texturing of the grip. The next thing we're going to talk about with the ergonomics of the frame of this gun is this double undercut, guys. I absolutely love that they added this on this gun. So polymer striker fired shooters have been doing double undercuts on their guns forever. The reason for this is it allows you to get a little bit higher up with your middle finger of your dominant hand, and then when you take your support hand and roll it in, it gives you just a little bit of something to anchor against with your second finger of your support hand. And guys, I can only speak as a sample size of one, but this double undercut feels excellent to me. It's a little subjective. Sometimes people can get their fingers pinched on an undercut, but for me, it works perfectly great in conjunction with this magwell specifically. So what's really cool, Canik decided to include a magwell in the gun. Now, depending on what type of competition you're shooting, you may or may not be allowed to run a magwell, but if you're shooting in a league in a division that allows you to use a magwell, there's absolutely no reason not to use it. So it's really nice. It's super easy to install. You just slide it over and it's got one little set screw here. And as you can see, we got some wear in there because we've been doing some practice with this thing. It's going to allow you not only to have a quicker and more consistent reload, as you can see there, instead of being so focused on making sure that the lip of the magazine is seated, all I do is see it's in the direction and we just full send it. Now there's also a second benefit to this magwell that you may not be thinking of. For me at least, as you can see, I've got a little bit of a gap right in here where my pinky doesn't quite meet the lip of the magwell. That gives my support hand pinky just a little bit of room to completely anchor in. So this is really nice. I typically don't run magwells on my guns, but this is amazing. So it allows me to make sure that that pinky has nowhere to go. It's not gonna slip off. And in conjunction with the double undercut, you have an extremely firm, extremely strong support hand being able to crush this gun and control it under recoil. Now, the next thing we're gonna talk about that works with the magwell is the magazine release. Canik included 3 different adjustable height little buttons for the magazine release. Now, most of you guys, probably 99% of y'all are using your thumb to depress the magazine. What's really nice with this is if you have smaller hands and you don't want to use the stock one that comes with it, they have one that's a little bit taller. Benefit with that the taller this is, the less you're going to have to break your grip when you're doing a reload. And when you have to break your grip too much doing a reload, your chances of messing it up when you go back to present the gun are a little bit higher. So it's a really nice addition that they added right out of the box, so you don't have to go and buy that on your own. Another thing to talk about with the ergonomics is the design of this magazine catch. Now, magazine catches and how people like them is a very subjective thing, but for me, I can't quite consistently drop the magazine release without breaking my grip. It's not the end of the world, just something to keep in mind. That said, it is very nice when you are wanting to go ahead and lock that gun to the rear. There's safety clearing it, you're clearing it for the day. You got a nice big ledge right there, and it's a huge magazine release, so you can just push up on it, use these front slide serrations, lock that gun to the rear. What's really nice is this slide lock lever is actually already included, and the magazine release is totally reversible. So for you lefties out there, they didn't leave you out. They know that they have some lefty competition shooters that they need to market to. So this gun is going to be totally lefty friendly. Let's talk about some of the ergonomics with the slide specifically. There's a lot going on here that we need to talk about. First off, these super aggressive slide serrations. These might be the most aggressive slide serrations I have ever seen on a gun coming from the factory. That's a really nice addition. I'm going to tell you why. So for competition shooting specifically, you're not always coming directly from the holster with a gun that is loaded, ready to fire. Sometimes you have to start with an unloaded gun, bring that magazine up, rack the gun, and shoot. And as you'll see in some of our B-roll footage here, sometimes you're going to have the gun on the table. You'll have to pick that gun up with the magazine and then rack it and start shooting. The benefit with having these aggressive front slide serrations is it's significantly faster to charge the gun with a front rack than it is a back or a slingshot. So when you're picking this gun up, you have a lot to grab onto with the front of your thumb. It's really nice. We did a little bit of testing with it, and it definitely takes a little bit of getting used to as somebody who typically racks over the top, but it's definitely very user friendly. And I think this was a really nice touch that they knew that a lot of competition shooters were going to be racking the gun from the front, so they went ahead and gave you those super aggressive slide serrations right out of the box. The next thing you're going to note are these lightning cuts. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much of a difference these make in terms of recoil impulse because I don't have one without lightning ports to compare it to, but it is a nice feature because in the chance that you want to port this gun, let's say you want to go ahead and turn this into an ultimate race gun and port it, you're already set up right there. So you can send it off to your favorite shop, get it ported. You don't have to cut the slide because the slide's already done. As we move backwards on the slide, you're going to notice this optics plate system. Now, a really nice touch that they did with this optics plate system is they continued the serrations for the back of the slide. The reason this is a nice addition is, as you can see, this is a pretty fat plate. So the plate actually bolts onto the slide and then your optic bolts onto the plate. Now, there's pros and cons with that. The pros is that Canik includes 5 different plates in the box that you're ready to go. So basically, any of your most common optics and optic footprints are gonna fit on the gun right out of the box, no problem. What we're running here is a C&H Precision Weapons. This is their comp optic. It's kind of a perfect addition with this gun because it has that really nice big circular window. So you're not gonna miss picking up that dot or making sure that dot's bouncing right back to where you were looking under recoil. So as you can see, as I'm grabbing over to rack and manipulate the gun, my fingers are interacting right along where that optics plate is sitting because of the size of my hands. So it's really nice to have just a little bit of extra grip there so I'm not having to just completely grab the optic to rack the gun. The final part we're going to talk about with the ergonomics of the gun is the beaver tail and grip design and how they interface here. So one thing that people talk about with Caniks is the high bore axis, right? Now, bore axis, what that means is you have the highest place where your hand can sit, and then you're going to have where the slide mass is reciprocating. And as you can see, it's definitely a little bit higher than something like a Glock, for example, but that's not totally a bad thing, and I'm going to tell you why. The first thing you're going to be able to do with a gun with a little bit higher bore axis like this, and the way they've designed it, you're never going to have to worry about slide bite. So slide bite is something that I personally deal with a lot of my guns and the way that I shoot. And with this gun, I didn't have to have any slide bite whatsoever. I'm not even sure it's possible for me to grip this gun in a manner that would allow me to get cut up by the slide. And in terms of the recoil impulse, with the way that this is designed, the gun bounces right back to where I'm looking. So yeah, it may have a little bit more vertical travel because I'm not quite able to get as high up on the gun as I would with something with a lower bore axis. But the way they've designed this grip and how it fits in my hand, this little beaver tail, it's not extended, but it's flush, locks into my dominant hand. And like I talked about with the ergonomics with the magwell and the double undercut, completely locks my support hand in. So that dot is bouncing right back to where I was looking every single time that I'm shooting this gun. So overall, I think the ergonomics of this gun are excellent. So now we're gonna do some accuracy testing with a few different common types of ammunition you might shoot through this gun. The first one is gonna be AAC 115 grain FMJ. The second's gonna be Blazer 115 grain FMJ. The third's gonna be Magtech 124 grain FMJ. And finally, we're gonna test some defensive hollow points, some Federal HST 147 grain. To take the human error out of this as best we can and get as much mechanical accuracy out of the gun for this testing as possible, we're using a ransom rest on a tripod here so that we can get a nice, really firm base. We'll go ahead and start off with the AAC 115 grain, 10 shots each. As y'all can see, we got pretty exceptional accuracy out of the gun. So with the AAC FMJ 1-inch group, Blazer 115 1.15-inch group, probably a little bit of user error in there. Federal HST, we had a 1.05-inch group, Magtech 124, a 1-inch group. I think the reason for just how easy this gun is to shoot incredibly tight groups is a combination of the trigger, right? The trigger is extraordinarily light and crisp, which we're going to talk about in just a second, as well as pairing it with an optic and high quality ammo. You're going to be able to produce results that are going to be awesome groups, and you're going to be able to shoot the gun out to pretty good distances. Just loading up some mags here, but while we're taking this break, if you wouldn't mind going down below, there's a link in the description where you can go ahead and read the full article that I wrote up on this gun. It's going to give you some more details, and if you like reading versus watching a video format, might be for you. All right, guys, this is our walk back test. So what we're going to do here, we're shooting on a C-zone piece of steel starting at 10 yards. We're going to go back 10, and we're going to see how far we go until we miss. Easy hit. Okay, 20 yards. All right. All right, 30 yards. All right, let's go back to 40. 40 yards. Turn this dot down, actually. All right, let's get back to 50. "50 yards. This is where boys become men. And I'm still a boy. Oh, that's brutal. Let's try it one more time. There we go. Okay, so the gun is most definitely accurate. You're gonna be able to get C-zone hits out to 50 yards without a problem. And if you don't have the flinchies like me, you'll be able to do it on the first time. Just for funsies, since we already did our shooting at 50, we're back here at 75 yards. We're gonna see if we can make any hits, because why not? There we go, guys. 75 yards first shot. What do y'all think? Y'all wanna go back to 100? All right, they say let's go back to 100. Perfect, that's our doo-doo marker. 100-yard doo-doo marker. Well, we got our 100-yard doo-doo marker there. 100 yards with a pistol is where grown men cry. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. Oh, 100 yards, first time, guys. I'm not gonna do it again because I don't think I could do it again. But there we go. The gun is 100% accurate enough that with the dot and this excellent trigger, you can make hits out to 100 yards on a C-zone steel. During today's testing, we shot a lot of AAC 115 grain ammunition, ran 100% reliably, shot very accurately. Let's talk about my absolute favorite thing with this gun and the thing I think that highlights just the level of performance you're gonna be able to get: this trigger, guys. There's not much I could say about it. It's amazing. So you have this fat trigger dingus right here. They call it diamond cut. I don't really know what that means, but it's pretty cool. So you're gonna feel a little bit of take up. You're gonna come to a 90-degree wall, which is great. And then once you come to that wall, you're gonna feel pressure, 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 and the trigger's gonna go off. Now I'll show you the reset. A little bit right there, positive audible reset. Now I'm not really a reset guy, I don't really ride the reset between my shots, but it is nice to know where it is and it's audible for you guys that do. But the thing I love the most about this trigger is there's no creep. So when I come to that wall and I press and I press and I press and I press and I press, the gun just goes off. Now that's not something you see out of a lot of striker fire triggers. Most striker fire triggers, you're going to come to your wall and you're going to have to keep pulling until the gun goes off. With this trigger, it's incredibly predictable. So one thing you're going to be able to get benefit-wise, not only being able to shoot faster because it is very light and very crisp, but when you're trying to shoot either low percentage shots, as you saw in some of the targets we were shooting, they're covered with a no shoot, and so you have a smaller area where you're able to hit. You can slow down, and you know when you come to that wall and you put just a little bit of pressure, that gun's going to go off exactly where your dot's pointing. And also shooting this gun at distance, the less that you're having to input into the trigger means there's a higher likelihood with good fundamentals that you're going to make the hit that you're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and show you the trigger live. So we're going to go ahead and load this gun up. I'm going to show you prep. Now I'm at the wall, a little bit of pressure, and the gun goes off. Now I still have the trigger pinned, and there you hear reset. Perfect. We're about to wrap this video up, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts and conclusions on this Canik SFx Rival. But if you haven't already, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'd greatly appreciate it. Overall, I think that this Canik SFx Rival Dark Side is a very high value gun, especially for competition gun where, you know, people can drop thousands and thousands. You're getting a lot of shootability, a lot of customizability right out of the box. Magwell, excellent trigger, customizable ergonomics with the back straps and the extended mag release. You're getting a holster and two 18-round magazines and the optic plates so you can mount your favorite optic of choice. And right now you can pick these up for the $500 to $600 mark. And so I think if you're in the market for a dedicated competition gun that's going to give you a lot of shootability right out of the box, this is one you might not want to pass up. I personally would buy this gun. I love the trigger. I think that, like I mentioned in the trigger section, this is bar none the best trigger I have ever felt in a striker fired gun straight from the factory. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching the video. We really appreciate your support over here at Pew Pew Tactical. Hope you all have a great rest of y'all's day.